everybody, my name is Alexander de Poder. I'm a Porsche certified brand ambassador at Champion Porsche here in South Florida, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's walkaround video, I'd like to present you a spectacular Porsche 911. I'm going to present you the Porsche 911 Sport Classic based on the 992 generation. In total, 1,250 units were produced for the entire world. This is one of those 1,250 units. What makes this one even more special, this is actually a Sonderwunsch specification, and very few sport classics were built as a Sonderwunsch specification. Now, Sonderwunsch is also known as the Special Wishes department. So basically a department within Porsche that goes beyond the standard configuration, where if you have a certain dream or desire, can you contact Porsche to request a special project to have a one-off Porsche 911 made, Sport Classic in this case, through this Sonderwunsch department. Now this vehicle, a beautiful specification, very few were painted in a color called Chromaflair. And again, in today's walkaround video, we're going to highlight the build specification on this specific car, talk about the details on both the outside and inside, and of course talk about the 911 Sport Classic in general. Now the Sport Classic represents the 60s and 70s, a cool vibe to the heritage days from Porsche back in the 60s and 70s. Many of the Porsche enthusiasts, of course, remember the 2.7 RS from 1973. So when you look at the back of this vehicle, we'll see the iconic ducktail, which we'll see a little bit later on into the video when we get to the back of the vehicle. It is based mechanically a lot on the 992 Turbo and the 992 Turbo S, which was introduced in the US market as a model year 2021, but all the Sport Classics were model year 2023. Now many visual changes were done by Porsche and also mechanical changes. So let's start first with the front fascia of the Sport Classic. It carries the same front bumper design as the 911 Turbo or 911 Turbo S, but it lost the Porsche active aerodynamics. So normally the Turbo and the Turbo S have an active splitter here on the lower section of the front bumper, but for the Sport Classic with that ducktail that I mentioned earlier, there was no need for the Porsche active aerodynamics. So this lower splitter is specifically designed only for the 911 Sport Classic. And we see the beautiful turbo design front fascia. We can also see the hood, which again is in the same design as the Turbo Turbo S, but the material is not the same. Where the Turbo Turbo S carries an aluminum made hood, this hood is made out of real carbon fiber. Headlights are the LED matrix design headlights, so the same as the 911 Turbo or Turbo S. On the Turbo S, there will be a standard feature with a beautiful LED technology on the inside of the headlight housing. Now when we look at the side of the vehicle, we're going to see another redesign for the vehicle, just for the Sport Classic. Now many of the enthusiasts remember the classic Fuchs design wheels from back in the day, and this is the modern day interpretation of that classic Fuchs design. 20 inches in the front, 21 inches in the back. You can still see retaining its center lock setup, which is standard for the Turbo S. But these wheels are not available on the 911 Turbo S in their center lock setup, and again with that classic Fuchs design wheel. Done by Porsche exclusive manufacture with the black inside of the wheel, high gloss black. And also the carbon ceramic brakes or the carbon composite brakes are also standard for the Sport Classic, just like the Turbo S. But normally those calipers are painted in yellow. For the Sport Classic, they're painted in high gloss black. Now another very cool feature for this vehicle, as it represents the heritage of the Porsche brand, is actually the use of the classic Porsche crest. So if you look at the modern day Porsches, you're going to see a different design of the actual crest. So this is the heritage design crest going back to the late 40s, early 50s from Porsche. That is both applied on the center lock, but also on the hood, on the steering wheel. You'll see the classic heritage look to this crest. Another very special mechanical change that Porsche has done is actually that this vehicle is rear-wheel drive. The 911 Turbo Turbo S has been active all-wheel drive now for many years. And for the 1,250 Sport Classic, Porsche removed the all-wheel drive setup and made this a rear-wheel drive car. What makes it even more special from a mechanical standpoint is that this is a manual transmission. The last manual turbos were the 997 models from a long time ago now, about 12-13 years ago. And this was the return of a manual transmission combined with a turbocharged engine derived from the 911 Turbo. So again, rear-wheel drive, 7-speed manual transmission. This is something that Porsche has not done for a very long time, and so cool that they did it for those 1,250 911 Sport Classics. Coming back to the body changes that they did, so again I mentioned that carbon fiber hood, but also look at the roof. For the Sport Classic, they changed out the standard roof and we went to the classic double bubble effect, typically seen of course on the RS products now for multiple years. Also on the 911R, of course also a very iconic modern day Porsche. So a double bubble effect representing that classic look, especially with that ducktail in the back looking very, very spectacular. The side skirts are the same as the Turbo Turbo S, in this case painted in exterior color. The same here for the Mirror housing finished on the lower section high gloss black. Window trim in high gloss black. Very cool design features to the vehicle, especially with that black also used in the inside of the wheels. Again, another big change just for the Sport Classic is the side fender here on the rear. So normally the 992 Turbo S has this big intake system here in the rear quarter panel. As you can see, it is not there at all. So just for those 1250 cars, they completely redesigned this side profile of the vehicle, retaining that beautiful turbo width on the rear and front axle. But now with the intake no longer being there, they did a very custom specific intake to the engine. Again, retaining that same 3.8 liter flat six from the 992 Turbo. They did have to down-tune the engine a little bit in terms of horsepower, so it produces just over 540 horsepower. Same for the torque, is kind of reduced in combination with the manual transmission. You can imagine from a mechanical standpoint, they have to find the right balance between a stick shift, the clutch, and the amount of power that this engine delivers. So again, with that intake no longer being there, they did a special intake system just for the Sport Classic, especially in combination with this ducktail design. And again, look at the 1973 2.7 RS, one of the first vehicles in the world to actually carry a rear spoiler. Now back then it was kind of joked in the 70s about this rear wing, but when you look at the aerodynamic effects that this wing design had back in the 70s, it was very impressive. And Porsche, of course, putting that on a road car back in the 70s. By the way, also made out of carbon, just like that hood. So exotic materials in the form of aluminum, carbon, beautifully done on the Sport Classic. I mentioned earlier that back end, so you can also see very cool heritage design finished logos. Both the Porsche name on the back finished in gold finish, 911 Sport Classic finished in the gold finish. And on the front fenders, you might also see the badge, exclusive manufacturer, once again finished in gold. The Sport Classics run the sport exhaust system from the Turbo and the Turbo S, the large oval exhaust tips, in this case finished in high gloss black. Beautiful sound from the twin turbo flat six, especially when the exhaust valves are open. And you can also see the diffuser design, also beautifully painted once again in that high gloss black. Now let's talk about the Sonderwunsch aspect of this vehicle. So Sonderwunsch, again, special wishes department, and let's talk about Chromaflair. Chromaflair, a very special paint technology in the world. There's only very few manufacturers that are able to apply this on road cars or production cars in a high quality scale. So Chromaflair is 5 different coatings of paint in one vehicle. Also that top layer of paint has a special pigmentation inside the paint. So depending on how the light shines and how the person is looking at the paint, depending on the light and the angle, will the car actually change its coloration. There's a few pre-approved Chromaflair paints. This is called Urban Bamboo Chromaflair. In my opinion, a combination between goldish, greenish, grayish, silverish, also maybe a little bit of a blue tone, again depending how the light shines on it. Very special factory option through Sonderwunsch. A very limited amount of Porsches can be painted in Chromaflair based on the complexity of this painting process. Now what's also very special about this one next to the Chromaflair is the actual side profile here in terms of the Porsche name and the bubble. Now on the standard Sport Classic that will be a decal. On this case it's been painted by Porsche. So the entire Porsche name on the side profile of the doors of the first section here of the front fender and the quarter panel has been painted by Porsche. And by the way, the Chromaflair process is actually a hand painting process. So instead of a robot, it is hand painted. So you can imagine the complexity to already do such a paint job on a Porsche 911 and then also painting this bubble, the number and the Porsche name on the side profile of this vehicle. Incredible in terms of craftsmanship, attention to detail, and to also do it with the striping on the hood that is also available on the Sport Classic. In this case it's striping delete, so the profile, the name is applied on the side of the vehicle. Okay, let's have a look on the inside where more Sport Classic continues and also more Sonderwunsch continues. This is the Sport Classic interior finished in black in combination with the Pepita seat inserts, again going back to the 60s, 70s vibe of the Porsche brand. A beautiful fabric in the middle, also known as houndstooth Pepita, black leather on the side. You can see also the 911 Sport Classic side sill finished in gold, again another Sonderwunsch request for this specific vehicle. And also the steering wheel was once again a Sonderwunsch request, with the black leather with the 12 o'clock marker finished in pebble gray leather. Again, special wishes just for this car. So the combination of the exterior color, the decals being painted by Porsche, through the Sonderwunsch department and the steering wheel. This is for sure a one of one in the world out of the 1250 911 Sport Classics. Again, 7-speed manual, rear-wheel drive, ducktail, carbon body panels, a true design icon representing the 1960s and 70s of Porsche, and a very nice collector piece. Thanks so much for watching this YouTube video. Again, my name is Alexander, Porsche Certified Brand Ambassador at Champion Porsche. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.